Alfred Adler was one of the great minds of modern psychology. But unlike Freud or Jung, he wasn't interested in diving into dreams or symbols alone. He believed something much more grounded. That's what matters most, is how we choose to interpret our life. Born in Austria in the late 1800s, Adler faced illness and near death as a child. This shaped how he viewed people. He saw that we're not broken, we're not doomed by our past, we're always in the process of becoming. He later broke away from Freud because he believed that people aren't just driven by hidden urges, they're driven by purpose, a desire to belong, to grow, to overcome. That belief became the heart of what we now call individual psychology. The idea that meaning isn't given to us. It's something we create, moment by moment. At first, this idea might feel a little distant, maybe even idealistic, because when something painful happens, a breakup, a failure, someone hurting us, it feels like the situation itself is what defines us. But Adler is offering something deeper. He's saying the situation itself doesn't carry meaning. It's neutral until we decide what it means to us. Think about this. Two people lose their jobs on the same day. Same company, same role, same shock. One of them spirals. They tell themselves, "This proves I'm not good enough. I've failed again." They stop applying for jobs. They withdraw from their friends. They feel stuck. But the other person, they sit with the pain. And then they start asking different questions. What else could this mean? What might this make possible now? And slowly, they begin to move forward, not because they had to, but because they chose to shift the meaning. The difference wasn't in the layoff, it was in the story they told themselves afterward. The power isn't in the event, it's in the meaning we assign to it, and that meaning shapes how we see ourselves, or it's what we believe we're capable of, and whether we keep going or give up. Now, this doesn't mean we pretend bad things are good or force ourselves to find silver linings right away. It means we have a choice. Over time, we can shift the story, not to erase the pain, but to say, this pain won't define me. That's a quiet kind of courage, one that doesn't yell, but simply refuses to let one moment write your whole life. You don't learn how to live by standing safely on the shore. Life doesn't work like that. It's more like learning how to swim. You don't figure it out by memorizing the rules. You figure it out by stepping into the water, feeling the cold, making mistakes, sometimes even sinking for a moment. That's the heart of what Adler was saying. Don't be afraid of making mistakes, because there is no other way to learn how to live. That line might sound simple, almost obvious. But sit with it for a moment. What if every wrong turn you regret wasn't a failure, but part of your natural learning curve? Your soul is figuring out how to move forward in unfamiliar waters. What if the real problem isn't the mistake itself, but the shame we carry around it? We hold ourselves back, not because we can't grow, but because we're afraid to be seen struggling, afraid to not look like we already have it all figured out. But the truth is, none of us do, not really. We're all just learning how to swim in our own way. Think of a child learning to ride a bicycle. At first, they fall again and again. Sometimes they cry. Sometimes they get frustrated and want to give up. But slowly, they start to wobble less. They find their balance. And eventually, they ride forward without even thinking about it. Now, imagine if that child were never allowed to fall. Imagine someone stepping in after the very first mistake and saying, "You're not good at this. Let's stop before you embarrass yourself." That sounds harsh, right? But for so many of us, that's the voice we carry inside. We make one wrong decision. Maybe we trust the wrong person, take a job that doesn't work out, or say something we later regret. Suddenly, we decide, I'm just bad at life. But living, just like riding, takes falling. It takes patience. It takes grace for our own imperfection. It asks us to separate our mistakes from who we are. Falling doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're learning to move. And that matters more than getting it perfect. You weren't meant to live a perfect life. You were meant to live a real one. A life where you try, where you fall, where you learn what truly matters. Not through theory, but through experience. And maybe that's what learning to swim really means. Not mastering every wave, but learning how to stay afloat when the current pulls you off balance. To trust that even when you sink for a moment, you can rise again. To believe that every mistake you've made isn't proof of failure, but part of your strength. So if you're in a season right now where it feels like you're messing everything up, maybe you're not failing, maybe you're swimming, and that's what it means to be alive. Courage, self-respect, knowing who you are. These don't just appear one day. They're not gifts. You're either born with or not. They're grown slowly, quietly, and often in the very places we wish we never had to go. Because courage doesn't grow from comfort. It grows in fear and in choosing to show up anyway. Self-respect, that comes not from always getting it right, but from falling down and still deciding you're worth standing back up. And knowing yourself, that comes from walking through fire and discovering what stays solid when everything else burns away. So if you're in the middle of a hard chapter right now, if all you see is pain or confusion, I just want to offer this thought. Maybe this season isn't where you're falling apart. Maybe it's where you're coming together. It's strange, isn't it, how the very things we wish would disappear are often the ones shaping us the most. I've seen it. Maybe you have too. Someone who's lost everything, but comes out the other side with a quiet kind of strength, not loud, not showy, just steady, like they don't need to prove anything anymore. Or someone who's been through heartbreak, betrayal, failure, and instead of letting it harden them, they'd learn to protect their peace, to choose differently, to choose better. That's courage, that's self-respect. And it's never free, because pain has a way of pulling us inward. We start asking questions we never meant to ask. We face patterns we used to avoid, and we start to see what actually matters and what we're finally ready to let go of. So maybe the real question isn't, why is this happening to me? But rather, who am I becoming because of it? Because growth doesn't always look loud from the outside, but it's there and it's real. When we look back, it's rarely the easy seasons that shape us. It's the moments we didn't think we'd survive, but did. And no, they don't always leave us with answers. Sometimes they leave us with scars. But even those marks can turn into a quiet kind of wisdom, the kind that lets us step into new chapters, not with fear, but with depth. And that depth, it makes you more understanding, more patient with others, less shaken when life doesn't go as planned, because you've been through it and you've found your way through. So if today you're carrying something heavy, maybe it's not just a burden, maybe it's becoming part of your becoming. And the strength you're building right now? It won't be loud, but one day, when we look back and realize that's the time we began to truly know who we were. Wherever you are right now, just take a breath. Maybe you don't have it all figured out. Maybe you're still learning how to trust your own pace. That's okay. Life isn't a race to be perfect. It's a quiet unfolding, moment by moment, step by step. And if today felt a little heavy or uncertain. I hope this space gave you something to hold on to, even if it's just a gentle reminder you're not alone in what you feel. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up just as you are. If something in this message touched you, feel free to share it with someone who might need it too. And if this space feels safe to you, you're warmly invited to stay, like the video if it helped. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear what resonated with you. And if it feels right, subscribe to join us for the next reflection. We're not here to rush healing. We're here to grow, gently, honestly, together. And until next time, take care of your heart. You're doing better than you think.